Here's the latest news from the Caucasus Neighborhood. The Taksim Square protests in Istanbul, which have grabbed the world's attention, continue to unfold peacefully, in contrast to the violence in other major cities such as Ankara and Adana. Prime Minister Recep Tayyip Erdogan spent the week abroad, visiting North Africa. In Tunis, he vowed to go ahead with construction on the site of the park, effectively rejecting the protesters' main demand. In addition, Erdogan has begun hinting that the protests cannot possibly be a domestic phenomenon, and that they are being staged by foreign hands in order to undermine his rule. Erdogan returned to Turkey June 7th and was met at the airport by a crowd of cheering supporters, who urged him to crush the protesters. A few days later, he climbed on top of a bus to give a fiery speech to supporters. Erdogan referred to the protesters as a handful of looters who, he said, were so low that they insult the Prime Minister of Turkey. He called on those who opposed him to beat him at the ballot box. Yet another scandal has hit a member of Armenia's ruling elite after a man was shot dead outside the home of Suren Khachatrian, the longtime governor of the Syunik region. The governor's 19-year-old son and a bodyguard have been charged with the death of former Goris mayoral candidate Avidik Budagyan, a businessman with whom the governor was reportedly at odds. Budagyan's brother, a military commander, was seriously wounded in the shooting. The killing triggered an outcry across Armenia in light of the apparent immunity enjoyed by powerful figures such as Khachatrian. This is by no means the first scandal involving Khachatrian, who announced under pressure his legally questionable temporary resignation for the duration of the investigation. U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry hosted separate talks within 24 hours at the State Department in Washington with both the Azerbaijani and Armenian foreign ministers. Those meetings were in line with statements Kerry has made since entering office earlier this year about the importance of solving the Nagorno-Karabakh conflict. In remarks with Armenian Foreign Minister Eduard Nalbandian, Kerry said, "It is critical that all the parties, and when I say all the parties, I mean obviously the Azerbaijanis, but also Turkey, Russia, Iran, and others, to try to find a way to help break the impasse." After the meeting, reports began circulating that Presidents Aliyev and Sarkisyan may agree to meet on the issue later this year. Armenia continues its balancing act in its relations with Russia and the European Union. Sarkisyan's recent decision to remain in Armenia for the May 28th holiday instead of attending a summit of the Russia-led Collective Security Treaty Organization has been interpreted as a sign of Armenia's discontent with Russia. Russia is trying to persuade Armenia to join its Eurasian Customs Union, giving rise to speculation that Gazprom's recent gas price hike is a punishment for not doing so. Armenia, however, remains committed to signing in November a deep and comprehensive free trade agreement with the EU, which has told Armenia that joining the Russian Union would kill that agreement. Armenia relies on Russia for defense guarantees, but appears to be pursuing an evolutionary shift towards diversifying its economic and other interests. And that's the latest news from the Caucasus Neighborhood.